to you. By the way, these are all on YouTube, usually within 3 or 4 days afterwards. Go to youtube.com, search for Eureka Center for Spiritual Living, and please subscribe, because once we get 99 subscribers, we can actually have a real name for our YouTube channel. It won't just be youtube.com/ a whole bunch of numbers. So Michelle, it is over to you.
Well, good morning. I have a reading from the Science of Mind textbook, page 167 and 168. And I changed the pronouns. So if you just relax, this is kind of, there's a couple of paragraphs here. So just relax and allow yourself to take a couple of deep centering breaths. The one seeking to demonstrate the power of spiritual realization in everyday affairs should believe in divine guidance. You should affirm that your mind is continually impressed with the images of right action, and that everything in your life is controlled by love, harmony, and peace, that everything you do prospers, and that the eternal energy back of all things animates everything which you undertake. Spirit, the greatest good in which your mind is able to conceive should be affirmed as part of your everyday experience. No matter what your occupation, you are a mental and spiritual practitioner. And from such daily meditation, you should venture forth into a life of action with the will to do, the determination to be, and a joy in becoming.
You are the light of love. I am the light of love. You are the light, I am the light. We are the light of love.
And we are the light of love, each and every one of us. And as we come together this morning, I know that light shines within us, radiating out to everyone and every being that we come in contact with. I know that all is connected. All of us together here on Zoom, all of the animals, all the plants, all the peoples of this world. I know that connection reaches through each of us and out into everyone we meet. And I know that as our connection together is sacred on this Sunday Zoom service, I know that we will each find true sustenance from the words spoken here today and with our communion together. And so I know that as Reverend Angelica speaks to us today from her heart, that all is good and very good. And I look forward to this service of beautiful words unfolding in its right and perfect way. And so it is. So now I invite Reverend Angelica to speak to us.
My screen got stuck.
Mm.
So this morning's talk is called Mindful Action. We've been through mindful thinking, mindful everything this past month. And today we're going to talk about mindful action. And hold on just 1 minute. What is going on here? I don't know what's happening with my computer. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let me just breathe for a minute. So we're always in a state of action in our lives, the act of breathing, processing, sleeping, eating, yet we are not always mindfully interacting with our actions. And so I wanted you to think for a moment about brushing your teeth this morning. What were you thinking of when you were brushing your teeth? This is an exercise I've given classes. You know, it takes, if you use the timer, if you have electric toothbrush and you use the timer, you're supposed to be brushing for 2 minutes. And I ask people to mindfully brush for 2 minutes. And all of us come back and say, oh, we could do it for, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. But then we're off thinking about what we're going to do today, or things that we thought about yesterday, or thinking about a dream or whatever. We're not mindfully interacting with our actions. And so this is something that we'd like to start doing more of. I mean, way back in the early days of hippiedom, so to speak, Ram Dass put out a book called Be Here Now. And we were all trying to practice that at that time. And somehow we have forgotten about it. And we get so busy and our minds get so full that we don't stay right where our body is very often. We're always either in the past or in the future. So you have to ask yourself, what would your life look like if you were being mindful of your actions and aligning them with your intentions? You know, I think they would look a little bit different. I found this wonderful little drawing online, and it says mindful or mindful. Notice the person is thinking about, all kinds of things, buildings and cars and music and, their significant other and maybe an argument they had. And there's even a pair of socks there in that little picture. And the dog is looking at the bushes and the sun. So mindful is how we usually walk through our lives, and where we want to be is mindful, where we're paying more attention to what we're doing at the moment that we're doing it. I know that as I've gotten a little bit older, sometimes I'm thinking about something so much that as I'm walking along, I trip over my own feet. Has anybody else ever done that? So Michael Bernard Beckwith, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says, when you truly have an insight or a spiritual awakening, the next step is always action. And this is what I think is happening for us right now as a collective. And of course, we want that next step to be mindful action. So when we look at some of the people that we admire, like Jesus or Mother Teresa or Gandhi, Dr. King, they didn't just pray. They were spiritual people. They didn't just pray about things. They took action both on and in their faith, and they were mavericks. Remember, this month is mindfulness for mavericks. So in the Bible, in John 14:12, Jesus tells the apostles and us, these things and greater shall you do. He doesn't say these things and greater shall you pray for. So we're called to pray and we're called to act. And the action could be whatever it is that your spirit is calling you to do. Maybe it is just to pray. Maybe it is to go to one of those marches, or maybe it is to pay more attention, to learn more about what is up for everyone in the world right now. So then I thought, well, let's look at some of the qualities of a mindful maverick taking action. And when I was thinking about these qualities, I was thinking about some of the young people who are now in government, like AOC and Katie and some of the other young people that have come in. And I also started thinking about Malala, the young woman who just graduated from college who had been shot for going to school. And there's so many people that we can think of, young heroes and even older heroes. But these are some of the qualities I thought of, and see how many you actually have. I believe a lot of us have these qualities already. So a mindful maverick who's taking action in our world is true-hearted and authentic. They don't try to be somebody that they're not. They allow themselves just to be who they are and live from their hearts. They believe in a powerful vision for our world. You know, when I listen to some of those young women in Congress now that are working for us, I think, wow, you know, their vision is something much different than the status quo. And that led me into the next one. They challenge the status quo. The status quo is being challenged on every level right now in our collective consciousness around the world. They also have really strong convictions. Perhaps they're convinced that there should be a Medicare for all, or that all lives should be equal, or that people should have a living wage, or, you know, many of the different things. We could probably all mention one. But they have really strong convictions, which then led me into they are courageous. They let themselves act on those convictions. Sometimes I know we have really strong feelings about something, but we don't know what to do, so we don't do anything. Or maybe we just pray about it, and that's a good thing to do. I'm not going to say it's not. I believe in the power of prayer, as you all know. And sometimes it's even courageous to do that. They also listen to their intuition. And this is something I think that's coming out a lot more now, is listening to our intuition, how important it is. You know, for me, our intuition is the device, so to speak, to hear the voice of God. I have this feeling that if we, you know, God being infinite and everywhere present and, you know, all knowing and all powerful and all of this, that we wouldn't be able to hear that voice. It would be too loud. It might just blow us out of the water. So it's like our intuition becomes like a little transformer or something that takes that voice and makes it so that we can understand the guidance that there is that we're always getting. And so listening to our intuition is really, really important. And it's one of the qualities of a mindful maverick. And the mindful mavericks also make stuff happen. You know, they don't make it happen, but they are involved in helping it be created. You know, they're the ones that, well, the one that comes to my mind right now is a friend of mine from Hawaii that has been crusading on legalizing pot since I knew him, which was like in 1983. And he even started his own little church, so to speak, so that he could administer the the holy herbs. But he made stuff happen. He worked really hard at it. And there's people in our lives that we know that are constantly making stuff happen. And the last thing I thought of was that these mindful mavericks who are taking action enroll others to join them on their journeys. So we've enrolled each other as a spiritual community to pray for our world, for peace and for health and for happiness and all the things that we want everybody to have. The practitioners have enrolled each other to pray for everybody in our community and anyone that asks. Political parties enroll people to join them on their journeys. So a mindful maverick who's taking action in our world does all these things and makes change. If you think back 20 years, maybe 30 years, we weren't so involved in having a green world. We weren't so involved in a lot of things. This is Pride Month. There certainly wasn't the ability for the LGBTQ people, I should put a plus at the end of that, to be out like they are now. There wasn't any same-sex marriage. I mean, we have come so far already. And all of these qualities were embodied by the people who have worked to make this so. I mean, we're a lot more environmentally conscious now. It's just amazing how far we've come. And right now, we're transitioning into something even greater and newer that we don't know what it is yet. But we still have to be authentic in how we're expressing ourselves. We still need to have a powerful vision for our world. We have to have a powerful vision for our spiritual community. We have to consciously challenge the status quo. The old ways are breaking down. They have not worked. And so there's going to be something new, but we can't just break something down, destroy something, and not have something to replace it with. We have to be strongly convicted about what we want in our community, in our city, in our country. And we definitely have to be courageous, and courage comes from the heart. That's what I think true heartedness is living in your heart and being courageous. And you have to listen. We all have to listen to our intuition and definitely be the ones that make stuff happen and enroll each other to join us on our journey. So I think we're all mindful mavericks, and I think this is good. Dr. Holmes said, through faith, tie your mind back to the, wait just a minute, my screen is being weird. Tie your faith back to the mind of God, and in action, live as though you were guided by a supreme intelligence. Through faith. I looked up, I have this whole page of acronyms that I really like, and I looked up faith. And faith in my acronym collection is fully anticipating incredible things happening. Fully anticipating incredible things happening. So through faith, through fully anticipating amazing things happening in our world, tie our minds back to the mind of God, and in action, live as though we were guided by supreme intelligence. What an amazing man Dr. Holmes was, to bring this teaching to us back in the 30s, and to have it still be so rich and so valuable and so alive. And I know that as we move through classes and Sunday mornings and groups, etc., there is that within us that is impelling us to step out and step up, to really live as though we were guided by supreme intelligence. We are. We absolutely are. And so to believe that in every way and fully anticipate incredible things happening in your life, in the community's life, in our country's life, something amazing is happening. It doesn't look like it. And it's hard to even think of that sometimes if you look at the news. But something amazing is happening. And we're right on the edge of whatever that is. And we get to have a part in creating it. And that to me is just absolutely amazing. To be able to create our world as we step in through the portal of the C19 and all the things that are happening in our world. So let's say this affirmation together. Every action I take emerges from knowing my oneness with all and serves the highest good. Now let's go into treatment. How grateful I am to remember that there is only one life. That life is God's life, and that life is the life we are living right now. And that life pays attention to our thoughts, our feelings, and moves through us in accordance to whatever we are predominantly thinking and feeling. And so we allow ourselves today to make a decision to live in faith, to know that we are guided all the time, to pay attention to our intuition, to live from our hearts, and to absolutely be a blessing to this world. As we allow ourselves to know that we are a blessing to the world, that blessing has to come through us so our life becomes more blessed. In health, in wealth, in relationships, in our creative abilities, our work, that blessing is moving through all these areas of our lives. And we allow ourselves to walk as mindful mavericks, the ones that are willing to stand apart from the crowd and say, like Jesus said, if you see me, you see God. Because that's the truth of our being, God in form. So I declare for each one of us today that we are stepping out, that in fact every morning is like a new portal, a portal into a new world. And this world we're creating, and it's full of peace, a deep sense of inner peace that starts with us. It's full of happiness, a happiness that is just bubbling up inside us regardless of outer circumstances. A world of love, loving kindness, compassion. This too starts with us. So I celebrate us as the mindful mavericks that we are. And I'm so grateful to be part of this tribe. And I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that each one of us is creating something incredible. So I release these words into the law, knowing that they are already so, and so it is.